coming to you from the home of the mini trees. Inspirational, motivational, so come along with us.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Pixel Talk. This week's edition brings you an interview with Ms. Jacquelline Fuller, the director of Google.org. Tips on how to get over the second semester slump by Shannon Madden, and a sports update by Daniel Foster. Hello, my name is Tej Singh and I'm broadcasting from New Jersey on behalf of Stanford Online High School students from around the globe. So, hello world. With us here today is Ms. Jacquelline Fuller, the director of Google.org and the former deputy director of global health at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's so glad to have you here. So, on the topic of making a difference, what do you think is the most efficient way for students, especially teenagers, to give back to the community? What do you think would make the biggest impact for whatever we do?
Well, thanks for having me. So I get asked this question a lot, actually, by young people thinking about how can they give back, how can they make a difference in the world, what's the most effective thing that they can do. And what I always say is start with what you're passionate about, because there's so much need in the world. There's so many things that you could do. But you're going to be so much more effective if you're doing it not just to look good on a resume, or not just to, to get into a college, or not just because you feel like you should, but because you really care and you're really passionate about the topic. So I say, start with whatever is motivating to you, whether that's breast cancer research or animals or whatnot. Start with the topic that's important to you. The other thing I would encourage if you're younger is to go local, which is to say, I think sometimes we think it's really more sort of exotic and interesting to think about how could I help solve the problems in Kenya. But we have problems right here in our own communities. And it's going to be, frankly, a lot easier for you, culturally and in terms of the overhead cost to your helping for you to start local.
Makes sense, especially since lots of teenagers are looking to volunteer, and then this advice would help them. So there's been lots of talk lately about encouraging even minorities and even women to get involved in STEM, particularly computer science. Is Google.org doing anything to help that, or what do you think is the best way to reach out to these different sectors or groups of people?
Well, as you can imagine, here at Google, we are big believers in the power of technology. And we want to make sure that the people who are engineering the future, the people who are literally coding the platforms and the services and the tools and the features, represent the best of America and the world, right? But as you say, unfortunately, right now, computer science is not very diverse. In fact, it's interesting. If you look at women who are graduating from college, women are now, 60% of most colleges, and across the STEM majors, science, technology, engineering, and math, women are doing quite well. More than half of, say, biology and certain science majors, for example, with one exception, and that's computer science. We're actually moving backwards in terms of the percentage of degrees for CS that go to women. It was at a high of about 37% in the mid-'80s, and now it's down to 18%. So Google and others are getting behind efforts to get more young women interested in coding younger in life, to at least be open to what computer science can do career-wise and vocation-wise. And then we're also helping to fund some programs so that college students have a better experience, and so that we can retain more of our women and more of our Black and Hispanic students who are interested in CS.
Makes sense, especially since Jeff Dean, we had him as a previous interview. He was talking about maybe you should encourage this in starting in middle school, high school, and then even because lots of students, they enter college, and there's a gap between many are really advanced and aren't that advanced, that the dichotomy in classes really doesn't.
Oh, that's absolutely right. The key thing that we need to do is to make sure that computer science is available and being taught in every high school. And not only that, we want to make sure that the students who are taking computer science are representative of the entire diversity of that school. In other words, if your school is 50% girls in high school, we'd like to see that CS class to be half girls. If you have 20% African Americans, we'd like to see that CS class be 20% African American.
So relating on this topic to high schoolers, how was your high school experience like? Looking back, Would you have any piece of advice you could tell our viewers so they can learn from this and become hopefully successful later on?
Wow. So high school was interesting for me. My father was in the military and we moved around a lot. So I started my high school in New York public education. And halfway through my sophomore year, I moved to Langley High School in McLean, Virginia. So I went from a school that did not offer any AP classes in any subject to one of the top, say, 20 high schools in America, public high schools. So I've seen firsthand the importance of education and what a difference it makes when you have really strong teachers with strong curriculum and opportunity. So I would say, because the student that I was when I was in New York, I realized that my school did not offer everything that I'd like to see or I knew that was out there. So I did some self-learning and I made sure I was taking advantage of opportunities in my community outside of sort of formal education, just in terms of mentorships and internships. And I think online high schools and other programs that are taking advantage of the best the world has to offer is a great way to sort of step out of the classroom mentality and into just the broader world. I mean, even in my second school, I did an internship where I left for half the day my senior year and worked in a TV studio.
Especially this is more available with today's society, like Udemy and then edX, like with Harvard and MIT starting that. It's global education so much more possible.
That's right. Even things like Khan Academy. We've been a funder of Khan Academy, and I know for my own children, I have two daughters who are now in college. With them growing up, they were the ones who taught me about that Khan Academy even existed because they were using it to supplement some of what they were learning in school.
So moving on to your our lighthearted or even fun section of the interview, if you could spend a day with any person living today, who would it be?
Any person who's living today? Well, I am a big Michelle Obama fan. I think the office of the First Lady is sometimes, I think sometimes we just don't realize how important that role is. And I think she has done a wonderful job being a global ambassador for the United States. And I think that the issues that she's chosen to focus on, for example, our military and especially the families of military, very important to me, having grown up as an Army brat, but also her focus on things like better nutrition and exercise for our kids. I think she's fascinating, so I'd love to spend time with her.
Yeah, that'd be certainly a cool person to hang out with. So if you could be part of a historical event in history, what would it be?
Wow, part of an historical event. Um, well, I've been I've been reading a lot recently about U.S. Soviet relations, and thinking a lot about how did we get to this place where we are, where there's um, uh, we've been through the Cold War, but now we've sort of entered a new Cold War, and we've got Putin sort of rattling the sabers. And how did we get here? So I think it'd be fascinating actually to go back and kind of watch the Bolshevik Revolution, which I find fascinating because I think some of the ideals behind it are represent the best of humanity in terms of equality and whatnot, and yet it went so sideways in what it accomplished. So I think that'd be fascinating to be able to be part of.
Yeah, and they say history repeats itself.
Again and again and again.
So it's a tradition of Pixel Talk to end these interviews with a short, lighthearted segment called This or That. It has a series of fun questions that provide you with two options to choose from. Would you be willing to participate?
Would I be willing to what?
Participate.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Games.
Okay, so crushed ice or cubed ice?
Crushed.
Pancakes or waffles?
Oh, waffles.
Would you rather have one wish granted today or three granted in 10 years?
I think this is one of those things that tells you something about my personality, right? And I think the way that I'm supposed to say is 3 wishes 10 years from now, but baby, give me my wish now. Give me my wish
I don't
now.
want to any that too. So would you rather be able to stop time or fly?
Fly.
Do you prefer online shopping or shopping in a store?
I am like the last person to come to this phenomena of internet shopping. I only just this year have really gotten into it. And so now I'm all online all the time.
Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Would you rather be able to read everyone's mind all the
Wait,
time?
D plus was not a choice in there, Tej. Come on now.
Let's see our last question.
Yeah.
Would you rather be able to read everyone's mind or know their future?
Ooh, maybe read minds.
And I've saved the best for last. Yahoo search or Bing?
Ah, well, I am partial to the Google.
Okay. So this brings us to the end of Pixel Talk. We'd like to thank Ms. Fuller for graciously sparing her time for us here today and inspiring not only the Stanford OHS community, but youth around this country and maybe even perhaps around the world.
Great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Hey guys, so with midterms surrounding us, we're beginning to come closer to the end of the year. I don't know about you, but I always hit a mid-semester slump when I just want to lie in bed and watch Netflix all day. So I've talked to some other people and I've picked my own brain to compile a list of tips that might help you make it to the end of the year without falling apart. So, spring break. It is so close. No matter what your plans are, this is a great reward for finishing the first half of the semester strong. Even if you have academic obligations to prepare for, like APs, SATs, ACTs, take this time to forget about it and relax a little. Whatever you choose, keep in mind that you're almost finished. Don't punish yourself. If you slip up and have a day or a week where you skip homework to go hiking, Netflix, hang out with friends, or even just sleep, don't punish yourself. One day won't make or break you. Feeling guilty will only make you feel worse and won't accomplish anything. Lastly, enjoy this time. I know it sounds cliche and probably very hard to do as we're still suffering through school, but pretty soon we'll be moving up in the world. When you're closer to being seniors, when you're closer to college, real life, take a breather, walk your dog, call a friend. Enjoy the rest of your last semester before you move on to even more stress. I know these all sound pretty cliche, but if you believe me, take them and apply them to your own life and they will make a world of difference in getting through the second semester slump.
Hey guys, it's Daniel, back with this week's Pixel Talk Sports Update. The big story this week is Peyton Manning retiring. After 18 years and 2 Super Bowl rings, the legendary quarterback is calling it a career. Manning has an incredible amount of records. Most passing yards all time, most touchdown passes all time, most wins, most passing yards in a season, most touchdown passes in a season, the list goes on. Also announcing his retirement this week was Calvin Johnson, wide receiver for the Lions. Among his records are single season receiving yards and fastest to reach 10,000 receiving yards in league history. Big trades are being made in the NFL, with most notably the Broncos quarterback Brock Osweiler headed to Houston. This leaves Denver without Manning, without Osweiler, and looking for new quarterbacks. The New York Giants padded up their defensive line with 4 big, expensive signings, and many other teams are making moves. In basketball news, March Madness is just about to begin for college, and in the NBA, they're still plugging along with the Warriors still on track to break the single-season wins record. In tennis news, the BNP Paribas Open in Indian Wells is underway, but Roger Federer is not playing due to his recovery from knee surgery, and Maria Sharapova is not playing due to a recent announcement of a failed drug test at the Aussie Open. Her return is still up in the air at this point. Finally, in MMA news, 2 big fights took place this last weekend and 2 big upsets were dealt. Conor McGregor went up in the weight categories and was brought down by Nate Diaz. And on the women's side, Holly Holm, who took down Ronda Rousey in her most recent fight, was defeated by Tacoma, Washington native Miesha Tate. Well, that's it for this week. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Until then,